What's up, y'all? This video is slow and being weird, but we're gonna do what we can. Hi, hope everyone is well. Slow on the what's up, y'all's, but that's gonna have to be all right. So I just posted to my Instagram stories a clip of Ibram Kendi on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and Stephen Colbert asks him why, like people's concern about, teaching American history accurately in schools is that it's going to make white kids feel bad about being white. And, Ibram uses the example of teaching slavery to say that, when you teach slavery, you'll be teaching that, yes, there were white people who enslaved black people, but there were also white people and black people who opposed slavery. And why can't white children identify with the abolitionists, as the white people, right? Here's the deal. I'm gonna tell you why the white kids can't identify with the abolitionists as the deal, because, and then he goes on actually to ask the next question, which is like, and the concern is about how this will impact white children's identity, but those people don't have the same sense of concern about how having an absence of accurate history impacts the identities of black children. Here's what I want you to get into so that you're not confused, right? Because so much, I feel like, of these conversations really rely on this kind of smoke and mirrors to get people to go along with it. Because what's at the central core of that argument is that the people who are opposing things like CRT, et cetera, actually know and understand what's at stake. Because they actually know and understand that the two options are the eradication of the status quo of whiteness as default, aka whiteness as dominance, aka white supremacist delusion, as the foundational premise upon which America gets to be situated, or they understand that the option is the dismantling of whiteness as it has been constructed and the creation of children who are white who identify with the acts of liberation. To raise children who identify as abolitionists is to raise children who identify with the edict of dismantling whiteness, dismantling the system of white supremacist delusion. Those are the only two choices. There is no in between. This is what I want you all to understand, which is why CRT is against this, because the in between is only to allow the status quo to remain in place, right? The in between was never an in between. The in between was always leaving white supremacist delusion firmly entrenched in American society. And the way you do that is you don't talk about it. You don't talk about anything. You don't address the harms that happened in the past. You don't talk about the realities of chattel slavery or segregation or Jim Crow or the prison industrial complex. You don't talk about any of those things, because to talk about them, to tell the truth about them, will put you in what is ultimately a binary perspective. And I'm always banish the binary, but I actually think that the binary is evident in this particular space, which is either you are for those things remaining, or you are about those things falling away. You are about intentionally dismantling those things. Those are the only two choices. And the way they make you think there's a third choice is by saying don't say anything and don't do anything. They make you think non-action is a third choice. Non-action isn't a third choice. Non-action is the first choice. Failing to talk about the history, failing to talk truthfully and accurately about the history of the United States is to allow white supremacist delusion to remain firmly entrenched. Period. It is to side with white supremacist delusion. And it must be to side with white supremacist delusion, because white supremacist delusion presents itself as an agent of, benefic action, as a an upright and morally striving character, right? And it must continue to present itself as such. And the only way to do that is to keep you from actually talking about the reality of history, right? Because when you talk about the reality of history, then you recognize white supremacist delusion was never benefic. It was never generous. It was never kind. It was destroyed by people who saw it for the moral and spiritual scourge that it was, right? And then actively worked to dismantle it. Actively worked to dismantle it. And so that's it. So, right, you can't teach kids to side with abolition, because what you would be doing is creating a bunch of white children actively working to dismantle whiteness. They know that. It's also the reason why they don't care if black children don't get to see themselves, because this isn't about black kids. It's about protecting white supremacist delusion. It's about protecting the institution of whiteness in America. It's about ensuring that white supremacist delusional power and domination continues to reign. So the next time somebody, presents this thing about why CRT is so bad, I want you to understand that you're being presented with the absolute, actual truth of the matter, which is, I want the United States of America to remain a white supremacist delusional nation where whiteness and its power structures continue to remain intact. That's what I desire. And I do not desire for anything to be taught that would disrupt that. I do not desire for my children to identify with anything that would have them actively pursue disrupting injustice, inequity, and oppression in the world. That's not accidental, people. It's on purpose. So don't let people talk to you like it's just a difference of opinion. No, it's not. It is a very clear choice to allow a position of dominance to remain and to allow everyone else to just have to fucking deal with it. So that's why the white kids can't identify with the abolitionists, Ibram. But we know that. Bye.